You're listening to Radio August. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe.
It's 5 o'clock and I'm Alice Monroe with your August update. August police are appealing for information following the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw's body was discovered last night. Chief DuPont is calling the crime a violent and despicable act. Anyone with information about the murder is urged to get in touch via the department's confidential tip hotline. It's horrible, Poe.
Indeed it is.
You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. Exactly. Rewind.
You're listening to Radio August. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe.
It's 5 o'clock and I'm Alice Monroe with your August update. August police are appealing for information following the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw's body was discovered last night. Chief DuPont is calling the crime a violent and despicable act. Anyone with information about the murder is urged to get in touch via the department's confidential tip hotline. It's horrible, Poe.
Indeed it is.
You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. You know why you're here, don't you? The dead girl. And this. What exactly were you thinking? You have one job. Don't get caught. Do you think you can do that this time? It's a rhetorical question. You're going to a town called August. Find Chief DuPont. He's gonna think you're someone else. This person. This is who you are now. Understood? Splendid. If someone so much as sniffs that you're different, you'll be deprecated.
Deprecated.
We expect you to use your ability. Just don't get caught. And never, ever change into a child.
In brighter news, August resident Mia French is celebrating the return of her missing pooch, Barley. The 8-month-old Basset Hound puppy was found outside Daryl's Chicken and Ribs.
And that's 5 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
I'm Violet. Welcome to the guest house. There are some rules. In particular, no shoes in the guest house. The carpets are priceless. Now, how long are you staying for? Yes, the chief said it may be a while. I can see you don't mind getting your hands dirty, though. There's not been many visitors of late. Perhaps the murder will bring some tourists in. It's just you and some tarot readers at the moment. It's deathly quiet. Yes, the murder. You haven't spoken to the chief yet, have you? Chief DuPont. He's the one who booked the room for you. You look lost. You should probably go and speak to the chief. Your room is just down the hall, last on the left. It has its own back door. The chief said that's the way you'd like it.
Just finishing. Yeah, it's a big place. Hi, I'm Bronwyn. Pleased to meet you, Sam. If you'd like a reading. So, what's your question, Sam? The Fool. I'm going to see a lot more of you, aren't I, Sam? Enjoy the journey. But remember, not everything is winnable. I'm in room 1 and that's down the hall. Lorraine's in 2, Lexi's in 3. And which room are you in, Sam? Good. We're neighbours. Just knock if you need me.
In one of our earlier shows, do you remember? It was the same material.
Oh, it must be bronze.
Correct.
I see, but it's small as well, and it has 3 circles attached.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose today you could wear it as a brooch, maybe, or a belt buckle. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what else
why
you'd
would
use it
people, in ancient times, why might people wear this?
for. Would they tie it around themselves, perhaps? Attach it to some leather, maybe?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, again, it's a theme that we've visited before in our shows. It's a Bronze Age amulet with 3 circles. It was excavated at Brindley Hill, the site of a standing circle within.
Good, you got my message. Chief Inspector DuPont. I wasn't sure you'd come, but I suppose you're between jobs? Well, we both know that's not true. But I like it. Sam, that's your cover now. So, the job. Dorota Shaw, 21, accomplished cellist, redhead. Strangled. I know who did it, but I need proof. It's the tarot readers. Yes. Keep up, Sam. That's the girl who was murdered. Because they predicted it. The older one, Bronwyn, she came into my office last night talking all crazy and saying Dorota was in trouble. I did my best not to lock her up. It all sounded crazy to me. Tarot, the spirit world, cards that move, trans-dimensional thingamajigs. To be honest, I thought she'd probably been smoking something, and that's why I didn't take it seriously. Because things, I don't have enough on her. That's where you come in. The free guest house stay isn't free. I need you to work the case and report back to me. Find out things from the inside. Can you do it? Okay. I'll be telling everyone that you've been hired by the Shaws because obviously local law enforcement is either too incompetent or too overworked to solve anything. That gives you a license to talk to people, but only notionally. Don't actually touch people or annoy them. You don't have any real authority, understand? But you help me out, I'll help you. Do I have to spell it out? I'll make your problem go away. Or at least sink it to the bottom of a pile of paperwork. Your old town? The problem? Come and find me when you're settled. This is Second Chance Sunday for you, Sam. Don't blow it. What do you want to know? She was a cellist, selected for a scholarship at Juilliard. It was in the local paper. I'm more of a Bon Jovi fan myself. Don't read the paper, do you? Yesterday, Monday the 9th at approximately 9 p.m, according to the coroner, we got a call from the mother just after 10 p.m. In her bedroom, she was naked, strangled. No signs of sexual activity of any kind. It was a weird scene to look at. There was one thing, but it's strictly between you and me. Dorota had a gold coin in her mouth. I'm being serious now, Sam. Not a word of this. It's the one thing only the killer would know. Born here, runs the local guest house. Lovely lady. Where are you going with this, Sam? What's she told you? Look, if it's about the pills, I already know. Not much. Perhaps you should do some investigating?
I assume you've been to see Chief DuPont already? Not really. I'm sure she was a precious lamb, though. Yes, a lamb. Young. Innocent. Lambs get slaughtered, though, don't they? Nice, yes, that's a good description. Actually, I thought she was a bit slutty, to be honest. Sorry. I'm gossiping. I don't want to talk ill of the dead. Ask her boyfriend. Oscar lives at the vicarage next to the church. Don't tell him I sent you, though. I'm sure he's sick of seeing people already. They're tarot readers. I'm thinking of asking them to leave, actually. Because they may have killed someone. It's not great for my reputation, is it? Stay at Violet's, the home of killers and hobos. I'm sorry, it's a derogatory word, isn't it? But strange people seem to gravitate towards this guest house, Sam. I think I'll get the sign changed. It's the strangest thing. I honestly don't remember. But I imagine I was here or getting groceries somewhere. I've driven by it, never actually been in it.
Sam, is it? I'm sensing you're not here for a reading. We saw it in the cards, not images, feelings, impressions. Tarot can be very powerful. Not these cards. They only tell us what they want us to know. In my room reading, I found a trashy romance novel under the bed. I'm assuming it's Violet's. It's all Swooning heroines and brooding vampire Casanovas. Thank God Lexi saved me. She came to my room to chat for a little while. That was around 9, I think. You can ask her. Chief Dupont thinks I did it. I'm hoping you'll convince him otherwise. I didn't. We've only been here 2 days. I understand it's suspicious me being a stranger in town, but it's the truth. There's a lot more at stake here than you know, Sam. Well, if I told you that, you'd have nothing to do.
You must be a new guest. Or you're burglaring us. I'm Rain, by the way. Pleased to meet you, Sam. Enjoy your stay. The hot water goes off at 9, by the way, so it's cold showers from there on in. It really bugs me. I was in my room. Praying, actually. I don't believe in God, but I was still praying. It didn't work. I don't believe in anything, but I also believe anything is possible, so it's a conundrum. I didn't know her. I know she was called Dorota Shaw. She was young, had red hair, a talented musician. No. Not at all. You're completely barking up the wrong tree there. Sam, I don't have a motive for killing Dorota. Full stop. I'd have to be possessed to murder anything. Do you believe in possession, Sam? Oh, there's more than just one form of possession, Sam. It's just a blanket term. We did a reading. A group reading, actually. With a special tarot deck. The 3 of us get together and read the same cards. Bronwyn says it makes the whole thing stronger or more powerful or something. But I'm pretty sure I'd get the same answers just on my own. Mercury? It's not exactly from here. With a normal tarot deck, you'd have the question, so you'd be the querent. With Mercury, it gives you the question and the answer. The cards themselves kind of change. It's a special deck. I don't have it at the moment. Bronwyn has it.
Hi, Sam, is it? Come on in, make yourself at home. Mi casa es su casa. Come on. The cards told us to. Well, the cards of rain. Tarot gives us a rough direction and he narrows it down with some astrological jiggery-pokery. He's basically a walking esoteric library. And if that sounds dull, let me reassure you, it is. No? Well, yeah. Well, no. We have a job to do. I didn't say job. I said job. Okay, we make a cheese obelisk, a chob, and depending on the shape of that chob, we get different answers to questions. No, you don't. I don't know anyone in this town, except for Bronwyn and Rain, obviously, and Violet, and the Chief, and now you. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Good old-fashioned fortune-telling. Well, kind of. We drew a card each and smushed them all together. Do you know what the most dangerous tarot card is? Everybody thinks that. It's such a cliche. The death card doesn't even mean death. Most of the time. The Five of Swords. I think so anyway. There's nothing more dangerous than someone taking whatever they want no matter the cost. Yeah, I did. Rain got the Knight of Wands, that's Dorota, and Bronwyn got the Ten of Swords, which is, well, you know, swords in general are bad. She's like my big sister, so pretty well. You know the Chief's got it all wrong. Bron could never hurt anyone, but I'm sure a smart detective like you can help prove she's innocent. Ah, that's mean. She didn't do it anyway. Chief DuPont's crazy. I was in my room all night with Bronwyn. We were painting our nails. No, I mean, yeah, I've already cleaned it off.
Radio August. Dark Night with Poe and Monroe. The sprinklers hissed down. I crawled.
Find somewhere safe to transition. You're not a superhero.
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
He's already dead. I am the cavalry. Dr. Thatcher's black BMW is strewn on its side.
Who knows whether you've made the right decision or not, Claude?
How's Bronwyn been?
Overly nice. She's covering her tracks well if she has anything to hide.
What was it I asked you to do again?
You just told me to report back to you if I noticed anything suspicious. Good grief, Claude, you're a bit young to be losing your marbles already.
What were you doing last night?
Claude, we've been through this. I honestly don't remember. I checked my diary and there's no entry, so I was probably here, as always.
How can you not remember, Violet?
I don't know. Which is exactly what I said in my statement. Don't try and get me to contradict myself.
I wade across the puddle gathering at the base of the ramp. My thumb caresses the safety, ensuring it's off.
Chief DuPont, what a pleasant surprise. I think we've covered just about everything twice over, but if you think I'm hiding something...
Who are you really, Bronwyn Castle?
Does it bother you, Chief DuPont, knowing there are things in this world that aren't black and white? You don't know what to file me under, and that makes you uncomfortable. Or perhaps you've already made up your mind about me. Why don't you tell me who you think I am?
You're a con artist. You're a murderer. You're a con artist.
I haven't asked anyone for a penny.
It forces her to her knees.
just a few feet downslope. She raises her head and howls.
Good evening, Chief Dupont.
Dorota's family, what does the tarot say about them?
I can do a reading if you want.
Yes.
It's the Five of Cups. It talks about loss and dealing with that loss. I don't think you need a tarot reader to interpret that one.
Bronwyn ever been arrested?
Not since I've met her. She's a lawful good type character, if you play D&D.
Lexi ever been in trouble with the police? Have you ever been in trouble with the police?
I've never been convicted, no.
Been charged with anything?
My mind's gone blank.
Perhaps a Chinese dragon?
Not quite a dragon.
Or a lion with
Yes.
wings?
Oh, Chief Inspector, you gave me a shock. What is it? What have I done?
Tell me about Bronwyn. Why are you here in August?
Well, it's not for the nightlife, I can tell you that. This is where the cards told us to go. I guess you could call it destiny.
Do you know anyone here? What's wrong with the nightlife?
There isn't any. And sometimes a girl needs a party.
Tell me about Bronwyn. What were you doing last night?
Nothing. I mean, I was here all night. The scouts on her. Bron can vouch for me.
Tell me about Bronwyn.
She's an Aquarius. Her favourite colour is green. What else do you need to know?
Has she killed before? Is she your leader?
Leader? This isn't a cult. She looks after me and Rain. Make sure we eat healthy and brush our teeth.
From Lena. Well, if I'm honest, Lena, it sounds a bit of a nightmare.
Nightmares.
Firstly, thank you for writing this one in. She says, I dream that I'm in a strange house, but in the dream it's...
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Oh, but I don't really like the sound of that very much.
That is very creepy, but it's kind of my territory. It's very poesque.
Absolutely.
What's going on, Violet? Is everything okay?
Yes, I'm okay. No, I'm not okay.
What's the matter?
I don't feel safe. I think I might be the killer. The new detective's acting strangely.
You can feel safe. I've already got somebody posted outside the guest house. It's an unmarked car. But you know Danny, don't you? Leyland's kid? Any problems, you let him know. So, off you go. I'm being subtle. I don't want to see you back here, okay? You got anything to report, give me a call. Any problems, talk to Danny. Danny, remember?
I remember.
We just talked about this. I said I'd post somebody this morning, and I did. Then I told you it was Danny. Take the pills, Violet. Take the pills.
Aspects of her life and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what the bugs represent are the anxieties and the fears.
Good.
Now, Lena, it sounds like you're worried that you're not living up to your potential.
You don't trust me, do you, Violet? Is it because I read tarot? Why don't you let me pull a card for you?
No, thank you. Okay.
Great. What do you want to know about?
Sam. My love life. The murder.
Interesting choice. So do the cards. 8 of Wands. Everything's happening all at once. We have to act fast, or at least someone does.
Did you sleep well last night?
Yes, thank you.
I didn't see you yesterday evening.
I stayed in my room. You can ask Lexi. That reminds me, I think I found a book of yours. It's called He Came Through the Shadows.
What makes you think it's mine?
Your name's written on the inside cover.
Far Side of the Moon. Dr. Dimitri Sheffield, an expert in the field of archaeology.
Mrs. Gallagher, an unexpected pleasure.
How long are you planning to be here?
In town? I really don't know. Until the tarot tells us to leave, or you kick us out, obviously.
How did you know Dorota was going to die? Why do you think the police suspect Bronwyn? How did you know Dorota was going to die?
We didn't know she was definitely going to die, only that she was definitely in danger of dying. Tarot cards can tell you a lot when you know what you're looking for.
Discoveries he had never dared dream of, much less be a part of. When he...
Hello, Violet. Is everything okay? Ignore the mess. I was just going to tidy it up.
Did you have a pleasant evening last night?
Great, thanks. The room's really lovely.
But you weren't in this room, were you?
Oh no, was I sleepwalking again? I haven't done that since... for ages. I didn't come into your room, did I?
No. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I do that. It only seems to happen when there's a lot of bad energy floating around. Bronwyn says I just stand there and stare. I didn't catch you, not sleeping, did I?
Dimitri glanced at them and for the first time noticed their hollow cheeks and the dark circles under.
Hello, I'm Rain. I'm Rain. Okay.
To go on for several kilometers into the ground. Its edges were most unusual in that they were astonishingly smooth.
Ray, I'm busy. You gonna turn yourself in?
Yeah. No.
Then you're wasting my time.
Was created over 50 million years ago. This was one of the few things they had been able to ascertain about their mystifying discovery, and the four scientists knew there was much more to be done. The plan, then, was to send more. How much deeper it went. They had been doing this for the last...
Have you met the new detective yet? We're basically under 24-hour surveillance now.
Do you think Sam's onto us?
Onto what exactly?
The real reason we're here? Our role in the murder.
We just predicted the murder. It's a prophecy, not a to-do list. I don't want to look like we're hiding something, but at the same time...
We're hiding something?
We're being cautious. We said one thing to the chief and look where that got us now. I don't think August is ready for any more strange.
Asked Dr. Whitfield, pretending to be offended. Do you have another suggestion, Doctor?
Rain, I'm so worried about Bronwyn. What are we going to do?
Why are you worried about Bronwyn?
The chief thinks she killed Dorota.
Maybe she did kill Dorota.
That's not even funny, Rain. Bronwyn's the least murdery person we know. But okay, let's say she did do it. What possible reason could she have for killing Dorota?
Psychopathic tendencies? Crime of passion?
Maybe. Maybe Bronwyn and Dorota were secretly lovers, and Bronwyn found out that Dorota was seeing someone else and killed her in a jealous fit of rage. Or maybe that's just another one of your twisted late-night fantasies, in which case, leave me out of it.
Dr. Whitfield conceded with a sigh. If you're really that sure about it. The others offered no protest.
Hi, I'm Lexi. Oh, I'm Lexi.
Dimitri took a deep breath. Let's do it then.
What is it, Miss Taylor?
Dorota's boyfriend seems sweet. Who would want to kill Dorota? Why did you hire Sam?
I didn't hire Sam, the Shaw family did.
No, they didn't. Why did you hire Sam?
Tarot cards tell you that. Listen, Sam gets results. Nobody knows how, but the results are got. I want the killer found as quickly as possible. You got a problem with that?
Who would want to kill Dorota? Who would want...
You doing your own investigation? Great! Let me know when you find out.
Bronwyn thinks you've got it in for her.
I go after bad guys. If she's a bad guy, then I've got it in for her.
What were you doing Monday night? Why weren't the police protecting Dorota?
In hindsight, that does look like a good idea, doesn't it? We didn't believe you. We still don't.
Dorota's boyfriend seems sweet.
Have you met him?
Yes.
Miss Taylor, is that a contradiction? It's not what you said in your written statement.
Sorry, I meant no.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Wasn't sure why he suddenly felt the need to narrate. He could almost convince himself that he was doing it for the recording device on his arm, or in the small hope that Dr. Utani and the others could still hear him, but secretly he knew.
Hello, Lexi. What can I do for you?
Please don't ask us to leave.
Well, I don't have one. I literally can't remember what I was doing.
Please don't ask us to leave.
Have you been speaking to Sam? You're safe for the minute.
That sounds ominous.
If one of your crew did murder Dorota, you can't really stay here, can you?
Now, no, they're not scratches, it appears to be some sort of writing. Dr. Utani, if you're hearing this, prepare to make history.
What's up, Lexi? I'm sensing something's on your mind.
I'm worried about our alibi.
Don't worry about that. We don't have anything to hide. I'm more worried about Ray. Since when did he start praying?
You think he's lying?
Of course not. This is Rain we're talking about. I was just saying it's odd, that's all. Maybe he's found God?
Longer than he would have liked. It wasn't easy to find some of the small markings in the pitch black darkness.
Something's weird, isn't it? Ron seems strange today.
How are you?
Do you think Dorota was planning on marrying Oscar?
What makes you say that?
Well, nothing. It was just something I thought I saw. It doesn't matter.
It wasn't in his head, and it wasn't scratching. They were whispers. Overcome by a
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
What's going on, Dr. Sheffield? Dr. Whitfield's voice was music to Dimitri's ears. I don't know, he replied. Just give...
Miss Castle, I'm surprised to see you here.
I didn't kill Dorota.
You're a prime suspect, and your alibi is that you were in the guest house with another prime suspect at the time. It doesn't look good for you.
Have you got a problem with me?
Everyone has a problem with you, Bronwyn. I can arrest you for something right now. How does perverting the course of justice sound?
Kinky.
Yeah. averting the course of justice.
Copied, much to her delight and gratitude. It appeared the writing consisted of one word repeated over and over. Thanks to some earlier linguistic discoveries.
Is there something I can help with, Miss Castle?
I hope we're not being too much trouble.
It's very brave of you to tell the chief that Dorota will be murdered and then stick around afterwards. I'd have run for sure.
You strike me as someone braver than that. Why would I run?
You're prime suspect, aren't you? You look strong enough to strangle another woman. Even if you're innocent, a jury would probably convict you.
You look strong enough to strangle another woman too.
Well, if you can't pay for your rooms, you might just find out.
Ed listened intently. The whispers had stopped. All he heard now was the...
Ron, are you okay?
I'm not okay.
Well, if you're worried, I should be worried. Why are you worried? Should I be worried?
Are you worried?
Only if you are. This could go on in circles for a while. Let's just keep cool and stay in our rooms.
Dimitri stumbled out of bed, felt his bare feet touch the cold floor, and quickly, but carefully...
Bron, something doesn't feel right. I don't know what exactly, but it's not right.
Thoughts on Dorota?
Well, it's hard to say with just one victim. Musical talent, red hair. If there's another, there will be a pattern. Do you think it's another right?
A right?
As in the same thing we were chasing after in Birmingham? I suppose it doesn't really matter. Just have to try and stop it.
Stop it?
Yes, stop it. If it's a traveller killing things.
Traveller?
Bron, you're acting weird. Are you still you?
No.
Bron? If that's you, then who the hell are you? Wait. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
He felt like he was going mad. Nothing made sense. He just wanted to leave this nightmare and go home. But home was a million miles away. He knew he was alone here, and no one would be coming to help him. It was then... But the nameless voices only grew more incessant, hounding him, compelling him to listen.
Claude! Why am I being asked all of these questions? What have you said to Sam? Well, that's not the impression I'm getting. No, Claude, you listen to me. We had a deal and you said no questions asked, and a lot of questions are being asked. No, I'm not the killer, so why is everybody asking me all of these questions? Fine. Yes, goodbye, Claude. I take clozapine. I think they're for anxiety. I'm a very anxious person. I don't know, Dr. Sam, you tell me.
With a trembling hand, he produced the etchings from his pouch. "What's this?" Dr. Utani asked as she carefully accepted the notes. "More writing from the strangers?" She studied the letters, hemming and hawing.
It's 6 o'clock and you're listening to Radio August. Police investigating the murder of Dorota Shaw are appealing to the community to help catch her killer. The body of 21-year-old Miss Shaw, an accomplished cellist, was found in her home last night. Police are describing the murder as a violent and despicable act. Monroe?
It's just terrible. Meanwhile, out of respect for the victim and her family, this weekend's Tulip Festival has been postponed. New dates will be announced shortly, so do stay tuned to Radio August for updates.
I heard Dorota Shaw was due to play this weekend.
At the Tulip Festival?
Indeed. I understand why they'd want to postpone it. Tonight the weather will be mostly dry and warm, but be on the lookout for dark clouds on the horizon, as there may be scattered showers. Best take an umbrella, Monroe, so you don't get wet.
I like getting wet. That's 6 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
Remington asked with some trepidation. Dimitri tried to find the words.
Who are you? You were what? Get out of here before I call the police.
The other scientists quietly glanced at each other. Dr. Yutani was the first to speak. I'm sure it won't play out like...
Any more news on Oscar Wainwright? I'm a bit busy, Sam. Maybe you can go on my behalf. Just the tarot readers. No one else is remotely suspicious compared to them. Dorota's an only child. She lived with her mum and dad. Monday night was movie night, so they'd go and watch the 8 o'clock at the Odeon. Dorota would get the house to herself. They're devastated, naturally. They left town to stay with relatives. They didn't do it, Sam. Although, perhaps I should have made them stay. Rain says he was praying in his room, alone. Nobody corroborates. Bronwyn and Lexi say they were in the same room last night. Shame they can't agree which one. The tarot readers mentioned Birmingham. You're looking into it. There's some talk about a traveller, whatever that is. Dorota's boyfriend Oscar is in the clear as far as I'm concerned, but I'm still waiting to hear what he tells you. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. That's it.
Quite an interesting dream. I would say here's someone who wants to reach heights that they've never seen, and I think they're very ambitious, and there might be.
She flaunts herself. Her body. Had boudoir photographs taken. Who do you think those photos were for, Sam? Her mother? Ask Zach Weston. He took them. Zach's the local photographer. You should go and talk to him, Sam. You're good at talking. At Weston's Photographic? Off the high road? It's late, but he's always there. I have a good memory. I'm still holding grudges from when I was 4. Vicar's son? No, as far as I can tell, Oscar is a good boy. But we've all got different faces now, haven't we, Sam? The masks we wear. I could be a satanic cultist behind closed doors, but you'd never know, would you, Sam?
It was a hopeful plea, feebly delivered. Uni's reply, a loud and indignant.
Oh, she gets easily confused. Youth of today. Fine. Jeeve Tupon was breathing down our necks, so we thought it would be simpler if we stuck together. If these walls weren't separating our rooms, then technically it'd be true. Yes, he came to see me. He wanted to know that she was okay, spiritually speaking. He confided in me quite a bit, actually. He seemed to appreciate having someone to talk to, and he knew I couldn't tell anyone what he said. Oh, Sam, you know I can't do that. Tarot reader client confidentiality. To protect Lexi. None of this is her fault, and she gets anxious easily. I was just trying to take the pressure off. I'm sorry, Sam. I never usually lie. I was logged into Tarotasm. It's a phone reading service, and I get paid by the minute. Which, now that I'm saying it, it's not something I really should be bragging about.
Ivan stared at Uni. She circled the kitten's body.
Sam, what can I do for you? We're trying to save people. Birmingham. We couldn't save anyone there either. The problem with travellers is... well, let's put a pin in this one, Sam. Let me ask Bronwyn. If she says it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to talk about it. We didn't. Lexi used a Ouija board to get the name. It's Lexi's thing. I don't personally go near them, but in this case, it did help. No. Lexi needs to give it context from the tarot reading. A lot of the time, it comes up with nothing. Or a sordid comment directed at Lexi. I think that's why she keeps using it, to be honest. Once we thought there was going to be a murder, Lexi used the Ouija board to find out the victim's name. It spelled out the rota. This is going to sound weird. Most people believe Ouija boards contact the dead. So if Lexi contacts a dead person, that person needs to know what happens in the future. Ergo, maybe the person she's contacting is from the future. A time traveller who died here. You don't believe me? Well, ask Lexi or Bron. They've got their own ideas, but my theory is definitely the more plausible.
Shifted onto his knees and lifted the kitten in both hands.
Hi Sam, back from more already? No, I think Bronwyn met him though. This morning. He only wanted to see her. I guess he didn't want anyone else to hear what he had to say. I didn't. How did you find out? Am I in trouble? Ron was worried about me not having an alibi. She was logged in doing phone readings, so she's alright. But there's nothing to prove that I was here. I was though, cross my heart and hope to die. Oh, it's just your run-of-the-mill spirit communication device? Want to know how it works? Cool, okay. So Ouija boards send us messages from the spirit world, right? But where is the spirit world? I mean, there's planets and stars in space. The spirit world must be really far away beyond all that. We're so far to travel, messages from the spirit world must take ages to get here. Like how light from the sun takes 8 minutes or something to reach us. You still with me? Oh, you're sweet. Where was I? Oh, so here's my point. The spirit world is actually several hours ahead of us. That's how we get messages about things that haven't happened yet. That's how we got Dorota's name. Because in the spirit world, she was already dead. I know, mind-blowing. Traveller, that's a really old role-playing game, isn't it? Oh, did you now? Well then, you know what I know. I guess you must be a part of our inner circle. How does it feel? Cheeky? Are you flirting with me? Oh dear, am I blushing again? There's a murder to solve. Maybe you should do that first, then me. No, not like that.
The purpose of most spirit chimes is to keep spirits away, as you might know. However, these ones are to invite.
Your ability isn't endless. It will run out at some point.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sell that one. There's no other use for it. Thanks, Monroe. As
I'm truly sorry about Dorota.
I didn't really know her. I saw her pictures in the newspaper. Can't remember what for right now.
I didn't see you here last night.
What are you implying?
It's just suspicious.
I didn't even know the girl. You predicted her murder. Who's more suspicious?
Well, it's a silver rattle.
You can tell Sam about Birmingham.
Well, what can I tell Sam that you haven't already?
You know Sam likes a fact check.
I don't really know Sam. But if you're sure, then I guess I'm sure.
What did you tell the police you were doing last night?
I told them the truth, that I was in my room. I'm not sure if they can fact check it, but it's the only alibi I've got. Kind of wish we'd all stuck together now.
When should we do another reading?
You already told us. 8 o'clock. Bron, are you okay?
Pitch black darkness outside of his bedroom window. It felt unnatural to be here in this place.
Oh, Bron, I'm so glad you're here. We need to talk.
Is something wrong?
No one can hear us, right? I mean, I'm assuming this room isn't bugged, although knowing Violet, there's probably cameras everywhere.
You think Violet's a voyeur?
Probably. I don't know. She has that look about her, don't you think? Like she knows something she's not letting on. I wouldn't be surprised if there's cameras hidden in the wardrobe.
What have you got to hide?
Nothing. Though I'd rather she didn't see me dancing around in my underwear. I only do that for people I love.
Do you love me?
Why are you looking at me like that? Anyway, we need to talk about our alibi.
What about our alibi?
I know you said it would be better if we said we were together, but lying about your alibi, that's pretty serious. Are you sure it was a good idea?
We should do whatever it takes.
You're acting like we've got something to hide. Bron, is there something you're not telling me? Why'd you ask me to lie? Were you really in your room all night?
Yes. No.
Where were you? Bron, don't mess me around, you're scaring me.
I'm just kidding, I was here all night. I was at Dorota's house.
No. No, you weren't. I don't know why you're saying that, but I know Bronwyn Castle and she's no murderer. Just drop the act.
148 days. He was joined in the elevator by the other 3 members of his scientific team.
Miss Castle. More unexpected pleasures.
What did Dorota's boyfriend say about me?
Something about a message you wouldn't deliver? Did you want him to be a special friend? Is that why you killed his girlfriend?
I didn't kill Dorota.
Yeah, let's do this again. Chief, I didn't kill Dorota. I was in my room. Oh, but you can't prove it, Bronwyn. You're going to jail for a long, long time.
I was nowhere near Dorota last night.
You said you were with another one of the readers. All I'm saying is that Violet didn't recall seeing any of you.
Violet doesn't remember where she was. Violet is probably the murderer.
Oh, I don't think you should be throwing accusations like that around. Not in your current position.
Over 50 million years ago. Long.
Didn't expect you to come back. Have you contacted Dorota?
Yes. She forgives you.
Really? You actually spoke to her? Did she say anything else? Is she okay? Who killed her?
It's hazy. That's all I got.
Okay, that's okay. She forgives me. I guess she didn't have time to elaborate.
I'm sorry the police ignored our prediction.
It's okay, just... How did you know? How did you come up with a name and then she's gone?
She's not gone. She's waiting to pass. How could someone even get into Dorota's bedroom?
The usual way. The front door. Like, it's a townhouse and she's on the 3rd floor. So, other than teleporting or a big ladder, that's the only way.
Do you get on with Dorota's family?
Not really. Especially not now. They're convinced I got her into the wrong crowd or something. Am I really a bad influence?
Yes. No.
Thanks, Bronwyn. I know it's a bit soon, but maybe we can grab coffee sometime? Just to chat about things.
No, thanks. Yes, that would be nice.
I like you, Bronwyn. How about soon? How about tonight? I can come to the guest house?
No, you can't. Sure.
So it's a date? Sort of. I'll see you soon. Hi. Hey. Hello. Sorry, I'm not used to dating so soon.
I'm actually not in the mood anymore. It's okay. We can take it slowly.
Oh, I wasn't sure I was thinking on doing anything, physical.
It's okay. Get up on the bed.
I really don't think I'm ready for this.
Shh, baby. Just a little pressure down there.
No, wait, please. Can you just get off me, please?
Oh, I want you inside me.
Get off me! Get off! I can't do this. I don't care what the chief wants. I just can't. How can you want to sleep with me? Did you kill her? Did you kill Dorota?
No.
Yes, you did. You liar, you did.
500, 600, 700. Nearing the end of the rope now, she informed Dimitri at 800 meters. If we lose communication, just... The rest was inaudible. I'll just...
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
He could almost convince himself that he was doing it for the recording device on his arm, or in the small hope that Dr. Utani and the others could still hear him.
Why is Sam still questioning me? Do I need to bring up Mr. Hedges again?
Are you threatening me? Who is Mr. Hedges?
Exactly.
What?
Mr. Hedges. The man you asked me to put up, who then, you know, died.
And then what?
And then we buried him together so nobody would find out any of this ringing any bells.
We buried someone together?
Not literally speaking. You took the body and you said you'd bury it, but, you know, I'm an accomplice. We'd both be going down.
He was suspended above unknown heights, carefully produced his camera from a pouch on his belt, when the lamp on his helmet suddenly went out.
You have a recognizable knock, Chief Dupont. I'll remember not to answer next time.
Do you know Dorota's boyfriend?
I've met him once, yes.
Just the once? When did you meet him? Just the once?
Unless I've got a body double walking around, yes. Just the once. We talked in confidence. You'll need to ask him if you want the juicy details.
Etching on the pencil had a soothing quality to it. It managed to chase away the silence and took his mind off the endless depths beneath him. He'd gotten so used to the sound of the scratching pencil that it still lingered in his head. Having silence, he thought, until he realised two things. It wasn't in his head.
Chief Dupont, there's been loads of people coming around asking questions. I don't even know half of them.
Did Dorota collect coins? Has Sam been to see you?
No? Wait, I get it now. Yeah, someone dropped by. I'm not speaking to them though.
You should.
Really? Alright. But I don't think they're taking Dorota's murder seriously enough.
Did Dorota collect coins?
Not that I know of. She collected thimbles. She said she didn't need any. She had hard calluses on her fingers from all the cello.
Have you looked in Dorota's bedroom?
Not since the murder. There's still a load of my stuff in there. I'd climb in through the window, but it's on the 3rd floor.
The quarters and plumped down on the bed, exhausted. He hadn't told anyone about the whispers in the dark for fear of being mocked, or worse, being declared mentally unfit. He had already played back the audio.
Hello, I'm Rain. I'm Rain.
Which was scarier. He had, however, showed Dr. Yutani the etchings he had copied, much...
Rain, can I help?
About last night,
Was there a problem?
my tap was dripping, but I fixed it. Where were you?
Dripping? Maybe I was in my bedroom. That's out of bounds to you.
Disturbing it was that, to the civilization that came up with this word, curiosity was a constant.
Don't forget the group reading, Ray. By which I mean, if you see Lexi, tell her not to forget the group reading.
What's the plan?
We still don't know what we're dealing with. There's every chance that it could just be a normal human murder.
What if it's not a normal human murder?
Then we have to assume that it's some kind of traveller.
A traveller from where? Like in Birmingham?
Yeah, like in Birmingham.
Shrouded in darkness. He rubbed the heels of his hands against his eyes, trying hopelessly to rub the blackness out of them.
What do you think of Sam?
Oh, I'll totally hit that. Apart from the whole investigating Bronwyn for murder thing, of course. But that's a minor flaw. I can work around it.
I hear Sam likes you too.
Really? Well, you know, I'm not surprised. I am a total babe.
No one answered. He continued into the common area of the base, which he knew to be consistently occupied by crew members returning from their shifts. Is anyone here? He asked, and waited. Again, there was no response. He noticed another presence in the room. Hello? Can you hear me? He tried again. I can't see. I think I'm blind. The breathing became heavier, but there was no reply.
Hi, I'm Lexi. Oh, I'm Lexi.
Fear slowly started to take hold of Dimitri. Just when he was about to turn around and run into the hallway, the guttural noise faded. Held back by doubt, but compelled by curiosity.
Dorota had a boyfriend.
Oscar, the guy I met this morning? The one I told you about. Yes.
What did he want?
Answers. Reassurance. Forgiveness.
Do you think he killed her?
Not considering what he asked me to do.
Consonants and unearthly vowels chilled him to the bone. Dimitri covered his ears to make it stop, but the nameless voices only grew more.
I feel sad for Oscar.
Bronwyn said to stay away from him and the family. We're drawing too much attention to ourselves. We won't be able to finish our job.
Job?
Are you wearing a wire? You know why we're here. Don't make me say it.
Say it.
No. Stop being silly.
He was suspended in the air. He was still inside the hole. Had he been dreaming? As he ascended the shaft, he wondered which it all quickly searched his pouch and found the etchings he had made. Everything that had occurred after he copied the notes must have been some kind of hallucination, he concluded.
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
Wood asked. All we heard was static. I have something that might interest Dr. Yutani.
Oscar? What are you doing here?
I want to help.
I know. We've already talked about this. You said you'd get into Bronwyn Castle's room somehow and have a look around.
Why? How?
I don't know. Maybe ask if you can go around. Women like vulnerable men.
Do they?
I don't know. Do I look like vulnerable men? Just do whatever you have to, Oscar. I've got to concentrate on some other leads. So, you can go now?
Bewilderment, more surprised and impressed by his linguistic knowledge. Punishment for the wicked or curious, Dimitri said, his eyes wide with fear.
Oscar Wainwright, what a surprise.
We've had this conversation before. Is it possible? Dr. Remington. No, Dimitri replied. He said, as he frantically pointed at the notes Dr. Yutani was holding. Exactly the future? Dr. Whitfield asked. He sounded incredulous. Well, if you saw the future, what happens next? Dr. Remington asked with some trepidation. Dimitri tried to find the words.
Yeah, I went round there in the afternoon. Her parents were at work, and we were, hanging out. I left at about 5. Playing football. It was just 5-a-side. Finished at about 9:30. I called her, but she never picked up. Not much. They always seemed happy to see me. I don't think they meant it. They wanted Dorota to focus on her music. Not long, a couple of months maybe. We did care for each other. No, no one. She was really popular. What, you mean watching us? That's disturbing. No, it couldn't have been. The only place you could have hidden would be in the closet, and I suppose someone could have hidden in the closet. Well, yeah, it's big enough for two people to have sex in. On all fours. She had a few kinks, nothing weird. Yeah, a band from the 60s. I'm not discussing this with you. Clothes, mainly. I did see something that freaked me out a bit. She had a wedding dress in there. She knew I'd seen it, but we never talked about it. Not even as a joke. That's personal. I said I don't want to talk about it. No, not to me anyway. She wasn't into fortune telling or any of that stuff. Yeah, Chief DuPont told me. He thinks it's one of them that killed her. Bronwyn? That's disturbing. Not impossible. I don't think those two ever met. Why would you say that?
It's 7 o'clock, and here's the latest August update. Chief DuPont of August Police is urging residents to be vigilant tonight following the brutal murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Whilst he stresses there is no immediate threat to the community at large, residents should be on the lookout until the killer is in police custody. Miss Shaw was found strangled in her bedroom home last night. Poe, I heard she was found by her mother.
Truly awful. Mother caught me up to all sorts of mischief in my bedroom. Also in the news, emergency services were called to the crossroads at Grange Avenue and Church Street following a collision between two cars. There are no reports of any serious injuries, but you might want to take a different route for now.
Oh no. It's going to be one of those nights, Poe.
Stay with me, doll. I'll keep you safe.
I'm not going anywhere. That's 7 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
In shifts to guard that dumpster and chase the rest of the street off. That spring, we lucked out with a...
Sorry, we're closed. Come back tomorrow or make an appointment online. Yes. What do you want? The Shores. Oh. You mean that girl who got killed? What was her name? Dorothy? I see a lot of faces in my studio, but I'm not good with names. Wait. Dorota? I remember now. For the August Chronicle, she won some sort of award. I remember her cello. It kept reflecting the flash and ruining the shot. No, I went to her house, along with the reporter. It's better with these human interest stories to capture them in a natural habitat. If you asked me to drive there without my sat-nav, no. No, actually, I've been running a special offer on portraits since she came in for a studio session. Wait there. As you can see, there's photos here. Her on the cello. Now this one's in colour. Beautiful hair. Oh, legs wrapped around. Another one here. Oh, hang on. Do you see what I see? Nothing else? Just a dead girl who looks alive. That's the power of photography. It preserves us forever like butterflies under a glass. What do you mean? Violet needs to mind her own business. I didn't want to mention them out of respect for the dead. You've heard of boudoir photography. It's all very tasteful. Boudoir photographs are all about leading the eye and letting the imagination do the work. Most photographers mess it up. It's not supposed to resemble a Victorian whorehouse. Yeah, she didn't say. Her boyfriend, I assume. Would you like to see them? As you can see, it's all very artistic. Dorota was a natural. She lit up the front of the camera. Want to see the videos? Oh, that's a good one. Oh. Here they are. Oh, no, that one. Ah. This is the one. Here you go. There's more. This is the stuff. She's, how you say, acting? Friends, yes. I know Violet very well. Violet takes it very well, actually. I like him like that. With a frosty exterior comes a soft, warm center. I'm sorry my analogy wasn't explicit enough for you. Yes, we have sex. Here. I'm usually here most nights. I live here, detective. Long story short, I'm divorced. My wife bought the house, my business is all I have left.
Dimension. Lung's eyes roll into the back of his skull. He stops moving. The stream flows smoothly in the distance. The girl reaches for something in Lung's jacket. The phone. She hits speed dial. Mom? It's Zoe. I know. It was the detective you hired. He tried to kill me. I know! As fast as I can. I love you too. Okay?
Do we really have to? Is that what he calls it? I'm not sure what we have, Sam, and I'm not sure how much longer we're going to have it. Being with Zach is no paradise, I can tell you. It's like his reproductive genes rule every decision he makes. I just want someone who will hold the door open for me, bring me tea in bed.
Hum of the engine and a distorted voice from the now crackling speakers were my only
Sam, look, I can't talk right now. I'm doing phone readings. Gotta pay for a job somehow. Lexi's locked in till 8 too. I can sort you out afterwards, yeah?
Went for a drive. I could just run, and God forgive me.
We've got to stop meeting like this. Seriously though, Sam, I'm working. Can't it wait? Just give me to 8, okay?
Killed this girl. So I took a deep breath.
Fine, Sam. Birmingham. Mercury took us to Birmingham. We didn't know what for. We never really know what for. But we turned up. It started with a girl, Ginny. She was South African. I only mention it because that was its thing. Yeah. We didn't know at the time, but in hindsight, it was after South African girls. 3 to be exact. The Traveller wanted 3. You should ask Bronwyn. She's the one that knows about rights. I just know it normally involves 3, and all 3 share a common attribute. I guess you might call them demons, in as much as they can get inside us. They come from other worlds. Kind of, yeah. Quantum physics is real, didn't you know? There are many universes. In technical terms, a traveller is a trans-dimensional being far more superior to us, in as much as they can choose which reality to hang out in. We just get this one. Yes, disturbingly. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. They choose a reality/universe where they actually evolve to become the person they're possessing. So they jump in a few million years before our timelines intersect. They can't just jump into someone. It takes a few hours for that. They make the decision before they travel, which is why we can catch them. Yes, probably. The tarot doesn't just sat-nav us to normal murders. I met him yesterday, doing the rounds, looking for reading work. Actually, oh no. He did mention the rota. He said there was this girl he was planning to meet up with. Said she was alone every Monday night because her parents go to the cinema. Do you know what that means? It was the rota Shaw.
From my pocket and dialed. Her hand squeezed mine, just a little tighter, as I began to pull her hair away from her face.
Hi, Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
and she was just there and I hit her and she's twisted weird and my calm was unraveling.
Chief? Again?
Did Dorota have any online friends?
She didn't really use any social networks. Didn't have the time. Mainly just cello.
Go to any clubs or groups?
She helped out at a Rainbows group. I think it's like Cub Scouts for little kids. Did that with her mum. But, I don't know. Unless she was strangled by a 9-year-old.
That grew into a deeper and richer blue.
Hello. I know you. You're the police chief.
What type of photos do you take? I understand that you knew Dorota Shaw. What type of photos do you take?
For the paper? Record shots that any idiot with a phone can take. My studio is where the magic happens. Mainly portraiture, but I dabble in other areas. Sometimes, if that's what the client wants. Are you asking for yourself, or...?
It's for the case.
Of course.
I understand that you knew Dorota Shaw.
We met briefly, yes. I freelanced for the August Chronicle, and they did a story about her.
Was that the first time you met her?
As far as I know. I meet a lot of people through work. Some are more memorable than others. I happened to mention my portrait services, so she booked a session with me.
When was this?
A few weeks ago.
And see their mouths moving, but it takes a while to hear what they're saying. Do you understand? Your daughter's been...
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Glass shards that splinter from the screen because at that moment, that very moment...
Well, hello, gorgeous.
I came over last night, but you weren't here. Did you hear about Dorota?
Everyone in town's heard. She's a local celebrity now.
Local celebrity? Were you sleeping with her?
Violet? Of course not. I only have eyes for you.
That's not what I heard.
This again. I told you, I'm not seeing anyone else. I have gorgeous women in my studio all the time, but you're special. Not because you won't take off your clothes, I'm expecting that at some point. It's just, you're so clever and well educated. And the icing on the cake, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever met.
I came over last night, but you weren't here.
Well, that explains why there was no answer when I called you. I was definitely here.
Khazars, and as such it's over 1,000 years old. And it's not an erotic scene, it's not people hugging, it's not combat, it's actually a man grabbing the heart.
Hello, I'm Rain.
Literal broken heart. Let me see there.
I can imagine.
You have a lovely guest house.
It is quaint, isn't it? It's all my parents had when they died. We're literally sitting in my inheritance.
How did your parents die?
Father died first. Heart attack. They found him in the freezer when Mother died. She had a pulmonary embolism. I didn't really talk to them much.
Freezer?
Yes, she kept him in the chest freezer because she didn't want to be alone. Stored him perfectly. Still use it today.
Something else. But because she turns back into her original shape, she basically can't really change. So perhaps she's some...
Rain! I'm surprised to see you here. I take it you know about Dorota already. All that stuff we talked about yesterday, that's strictly between you and me.
What stuff?
That's the spirit. Now, I think it's best if we don't get caught speaking to each other. Overcautious, I'm sure, but I think it's for the best nonetheless. Maybe we can get together for a lad's night out after this is all blown over. Eh?
No, thanks. Oh.
Great. Well, I'll see you soon.
Open at Midnight by Martin Oten, read by Lacia Finley. The old man hobbled slowly down the street, leaning heavily on his tripod-ended walking stick. He paused to pull his tattered overcoat more.
I'm Zach Weston. Just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
The low cloud had brought the day to a premature dusk, and the cold wind had driven people off the streets, and this old-timer was out.
Zach! What are you doing here? Quick, don't let anyone see you.
Why don't you want anyone to see me?
What? You're the one who said we shouldn't be seen together. What are you doing here?
I wanted to make sure we were still okay.
What did you do? What did you say to Sam?
Are you happy Dorota's dead? Everyone's talking about Dorota.
I know. But I suppose people like that attract trouble.
People like what?
Homewreckers. Anyway, I hope you didn't just come here to talk about Dorota.
Are you happy Dorota's dead?
I didn't say that. But we both know what Dorota was like. She practically threw herself at you.
She didn't throw herself at me. Why'd you think that?
The boudoir sessions. Some girls get the wrong idea. I saw how she was looking at you. She wanted it.
You were there. You saw the photos.
I've seen all your photos, Zach. All of them.
Replays in my head, so they loaded me up with antipsychotics, smothering my brain in cotton wool and...
Zach, let me stop you there. You are one creepy fellow. Now, I don't know what you had going on with Dorota, but I don't want anything to do with it. Do not come back here. Please.
I was very, very lucky I was not connected with the police manhunt.
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
Tonight, I'll go looking for trouble. The gates of madness open at midnight.
Sensing the thing with Bronwyn went badly.
Why did you put me up to it?
I need all hands on deck. You're a hand. At least I thought you were.
Nothing happened. She tried to sleep with me.
Well, that's strange. That's very strange. Doesn't seem like something she'd do at all. You don't even look like you make a good couple. Maybe she was onto you.
Is there anything else I can do?
No, you've done enough. I'll keep up my end of the bargain, make those speeding tickets go away, though technically, you'd have more points than a hedgehog if I kept them. And if I do catch you speeding in August again, Oscar, instant ban. Capiche?
Capiche? Yes.
Yes.
The dark end of the street. Footsteps behind me. Soft, but to my heightened awareness, nearly deafening. Within me, the beast snarls and slobbers.
I bet he is. It was that thing I told you about Dorota. I mean, I didn't know it was her then. He wanted to show me these explicit photos of her, but I refused. And that's when he told me about her being alone on Mondays. I wonder who else he told that to.
Clatter of the footsteps, there is only one person following me. That is good.
It's 8 o'clock and time for another August update. Police investigating the death of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw have said there's no evidence to connect her boyfriend to the murder. Chief DuPont's statement was delivered in response to speculation from local residents that it was a crime of passion. Miss Shaw's strangled body was found by her mother around 10 p.m. last night in what the chief is calling a puzzling crime.
I can't believe people are gossiping already, Poe.
It's always the person closest to the victim, isn't that what they say?
But that poor boy. A reminder also that due to the murder, this weekend's Tulip Festival has been postponed. New dates will be announced soon. The weather's getting worse tonight with heavy rain forecast. So if you're heading out, you might want to take a jacket. Or a cab.
Or wear the jacket in the cab. That's 8 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
Sam, I've got news. We've done a reading.
It's a Five of Swords. That's the same card as yesterday.
Let's hope it's not the Knight of Wands. This doesn't look good.
It's fine. This happens all the time. There are 78 cards in a deck. The same ones come up a lot.
I get it, but we drew the exact same cards yesterday. What are the odds of pulling all three again?
1 in 474,552. I know. I get asked a lot.
Bet it's a Ten of Swords.
It's happening again. There's going to be another murder. Then Lexi did her thing, and now we have a name. Alice Munro.
Sam, I've arrested Lexi. Don't look at me like that. It's not your decision. I considered locking both of them up, her and Bronwyn, but I've settled for Lexi. Those tarot readers have been in and out of my office all day, asking stupid questions and then denying they've even been here. Locking Lexi up is going to rile Bronwyn. She'll make a mistake, and I want you to be there when it happens. So what are you doing in my office again? Lexi stays here till we have what we need.
Perhaps. I turn slowly as if I'm a little off balance. Sorry, I don't smoke.
Sam, do me a favour, go easy on Violet. If we need to get anything out of her, let me deal with it. She'll open up to me. We've got a new target, Alice Munro. Rain still says he was praying in his room, alone. You say Bronwyn and Lexi's alibis don't add up. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. Zach Weston says he was in his studio last night. No one corroborates. Oscar's in the clear. He was playing football last night. He said that Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet. Not many people would know that. That's it. Why? I'm assuming that's just a gut feeling. If you actually knew who the murderer was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Look, I see you're starting to care for these people already, but Violet's been watching them like a hawk. If you can convince her, you convince me. We've got a new target. Ellis Monroe. Rain still says he was praying in his room, alone. You say Bronwyn and Lexi's alibis don't add up. Violet says she doesn't remember last night, but I've got that in hand. Zach Weston says he was in his studio last night. No one corroborates. Oscar's in the clear. He was playing football last night. He said that Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet. Not many people would know that. That's it.
Broke.
Monroe. Everyone knows her. She's a local radio star here. Couple of times, promo shoots, that sort of thing. No, she is my type though. Type of model. I'll ask her about the boudoir shoot again.
Purposefully away from the broken heap in the shadows, a long walk to the night bus.
You must be Sam. I just got off the phone with Chief DuPont. I can't believe it. First Dorota, now me. Yes, we were friends. I hadn't known her for long, only a few weeks. We met at the gala. I was hosting and she was playing the cello, you know? I guess we talked for a little while and then she asked me for a drink after the show. After we'd had a few drinks, she invited me back to her house. I thought we were just gonna chat, watch a movie, that sort of thing. Then she kissed me. I was so shocked. She was so attractive. So I kissed her back. This is just between us, right? We fooled around. I don't have many friends, Sam. Everyone thinks because I'm on the radio, I have tons of friends, so nobody ever approaches me. I get lonely. But Dorota was my friend, and I liked making her happy. Poe and Dorota, people I say hi to. I have thousands of followers and subscribers, and they keep me feeling warm when I'm down, but they're not friends. I do get the odd stalker, but that isn't something anyone wants. Oscar, yeah. She was a bit confused. When we started seeing each other, she didn't like him touching her anymore. I didn't mind, but she did. So I told her if he wanted to get sexual, then maybe she should try something else. I said some guys like to watch, so tell him it would be sexy if he could look but he couldn't touch. As far as I know, it worked. She told Oscar to watch from her walk-in wardrobe. When he was at a safe distance, she put on a show. She faked it. It was her mom's. She was saving it in case she ever got married. We're co-hosts on the radio. Oh, sorry. You know that already. We've been partners for 2 years now. He's a good friend. Can't we be both, Sam? Poe's his radio name. He's actually John Poe. He's on air now, but you can come back at 8:30 if you want to see him. On air? We both were. We broadcast live hourly news reports. It's how we keep our funding. Not very well. He's done a few shoots of me and Poe to promote the show. He's fine. He keeps asking me to pose for him, you know, without any clothes on. I always say no. No. Sorry. I did have a strange dream last night, though. My life was playing on a TV screen, and every time I did something, another version of me started playing over the first. In the end, there were so many versions it became a fog. It filled my lungs. I couldn't breathe. And then I woke up. What do you think that means, Sam? I don't know what. I mean, I'm anxious now. Maybe it was predicting Dorota's death. Or mine. Just don't hurt me. Or let me get hurt. Sam? You forgot your phone.
Story. A former monk, expelled for some scandal involving a woman. I guess that's how most of them fall. He had wisdom, though. Of that I have.
Excellent work. Gold star for you. Oh, hello. This is my goddaughter, Sophia. She's only 9 and she's a maths genius.
Hello.
I have to pop to my room to get something. Be nice to her while I'm gone. Otherwise I might have to smother you in your sleep.
What's your name? I'm Sophia. Pleased to meet you. Do you want to know a secret? Violet was taken by aliens in their ship. Shh. She doesn't want anyone to know.
Sorry about that. Sophia, your mother will be here for you soon, so run along and wait. Now, Sam, how can I help you? What do you know? I'm not sure that changes my mind. We're talking about a possible murderer, Sam. Of course! Poe and Monroe. She's on the radio. Yes, I believe I did. She was here once for something. I don't remember now. She has a wicked imagination for her age. I was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. That's why I'm taking pills. I needed to confide in someone, so I told Chief Dupont. Just Chief Dupont. And now you, apparently. Why are you talking about this again? You understand, every time you mention abduction, it opens up a vault of crushing memories that I'd rather stay locked up. No. Not even the moon. I don't really want to. About a month ago, the guest house was empty and I was alone in my bedroom. All I could hear was dripping. Cold tap. Drip. 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 And then it began. I could smell iron, a strong metallic smell. Then I could taste it on my tongue. And then weightlessness. Like time and space had stopped. That was the first time they took me. It's happened 5 times, even on clozapine. I get that strange aura, then I'm gone. I had tests for epilepsy, amongst other things. But all the scans were normal. No. I have certain flashbacks. It's difficult to explain. I'm stuck in the wall of an enormous room made from these wooden vines, except the vines slowly move and drip with pain. My head is pushed out like I'm a trophy. If I look to my side, there are others, heads, all prisoners, being experimented on. They rearrange us like decorations, suck us backwards into the darkness and then thrust us back through the wall. And when they return me home, I'm broken. Cuts, bruises, memories.
If it did. Is it really wise to send more probes down the hole? Dimitri asked as they went over their plan.
How could you let Chief Dupont do that? I'm not talking to you until you get this fixed. Bronwyn was on Tarotasm, Sam. Just like she was an hour ago. And they record everything, so her alibi should be without question. She was just lying to protect Lexi. She's maternal like that.
Asked Dr. Whitfield, pretending to be offended.
And you're sure it was her? Then it couldn't be her, could it? You want me to tell Claude, don't you? Sorry, I mean Chief Dupont. Fine, fine, I'll call him.
Much to the surprise of the others. I will, he insisted. I'll do it. The 3...
You're only alive because we want you to be.
I'm Oscar. Is there anything else I can do?
All hooked up and ready to go. The crew member, who had helped him put on his rappelling harness, performed a final check on the much lighter probes down the abyssal shaft. Dr. Remington had initially objected to using the feeble apparatus.
Oscar, I'm so sorry. What can I do?
Were you seeing Dorota?
Oscar, it's so much more complicated than that.
Why didn't you save her? Is it really? Tell me.
Oscar, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. That's not who I am. I go out of my way to help people, to be kind to them.
So were you helping or being kind?
I had feelings for her, Oscar. You should understand that. I'm sorry this is how you had to hear it. But maybe she didn't tell you because she was leaving me. I don't know. I'm sorry. I truly am.
I forgive you. You want to make it up to me?
How?
Maybe if I knew what Dorota saw, I knew it'd help.
What do you mean?
We should sleep together.
That's fair. I'll just freshen up, and you can put it in me while I think of Dorota's cold, lifeless body. That way, at least one of us is still thinking of her. You can go now.
It's on his arm, or in the small hope that Dr.
Oscar, good. You got my message. Got some things to show you.
What have you got?
Does, this mean anything to you?
That's Dorota.
And what if I showed you this?
Alice Monroe.
Do you know her?
She's from the radio.
And if I do this? No? Anything?
What are you doing?
That'll be all. You can go now.
Dr. Utani, if you're hearing this, prepare to make history. You're going to... Pictures for you. Dimitri, fully aware that he was suspended above unknown heights, carefully produced his camera from a pouch on his belt when the lamp on his helmet suddenly went out. This is not just probes that end up malfunctioning down here. It's too dark now.
Hello, I'm Violet. I'm Violet.
Pencil. Copying all of the writing took longer than he would have liked. It wasn't easy to find some of the...
Violet, if this is about releasing people from prison, the answer is no. I'm going to need hard evidence for that to happen. No. Go! Back to the guest house?
By the time Dimitri was done with his...
Hello, lovely. Take a look at this. It's a picture of Dorota.
I don't want to see pictures of your conquests.
It's not like that. It's just a press photo. Do you see anything in it?
A girl holding a cello.
You don't see any movement. Just Dorota.
He swore he heard laughter coming from down below. As Dimitri's heart was beating in his chest and his stomach started to turn inside out, he tried climbing up the rope in a panic. Finally, he felt the sweet... This was music to Dimitri's ears. "I don't know," he replied. Just get me back up." Later that day,
What do you know about it? It's probably a bit more nuanced than that, but maybe. Fine, let me do the paperwork. I'm starting to regret hiring you. Maybe you should concentrate on something else.
showed Dr. Utani the etchings he had copied, much to her delight and gratitude. It appeared the writing consisted of one word repeated over and over.
I'm Zach Weston, just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
It was that, to the civilization that came up with this word, curiosity was a concept to be closely associated with.
I need to talk about Alice Monroe.
What have you been doing with Alice Monroe?
What haven't I been doing? What have you heard?
The tarot readers have predicted that she's the next victim. Do you think we should do something?
Want to fool around?
Is that really all you think about? It's starting to look like August has a serial killer targeting redheads. Look at my hair, Zach. Does this look red to you?
He turned to horror as he came to the terrifying realization that he had gone blind. Panicking, Dimitri stumbled out of bed, felt his bare feet touch the cold floor, and quickly, but carefully, made his way to the door.
Zach, what are you doing here?
I've been a naughty boy. I need to tell my previous partners.
Good to know. I'm not one of them though, so... Unless there's anything else?
Pose for me.
Zach, please stop asking. It's not gonna happen.
Just, undo a few buttons, yeah?
Are you bullying me into taking my clothes off for you? That's sleazy. Just leave, Zach, before I call Chief DuPont.
Without knowing what came over him, Dimitri yelled out in frustration and fear, stomping his feet like a frustrated child. "Please help me!" The breathing suddenly stopped, and changing.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi.
Source of the sound. He reached out his hand, but no one was there. Dimitri was both perplexed and overcome by a frightful panic. He felt like he was going mad. Nothing made sense. He just wanted to leave this.
Our job is so stressful.
Tell me about it. Chasing around the unknown, trying to triumph good over evil, generally standing around helpless watching people die.
Why do we do it? Why don't we just quit?
And leave Bron on her own? Quite possibly to die? No. I'm locked in now, until the end. Whatever that may be.
Is how you die. Dimitri tried to scream, but there was no sound. He reached for his throat and felt...
Lexi Korn, how thin are these walls?
What do you mean the walls are thin?
I can hear you screaming at your Ouija board. Last night too. I feel like I've heard your whole life story.
What did you hear?
Does Sam like me? Is Violet a lesbian? Will Ellis die? Will Bronwyn die? That last one, don't worry about that.
Because you're immortal.
Och, I am Bronwyn MacLeod from the Clan MacLeod, and I am immortal. You silly badger.
All looked at him eagerly as he climbed out of the hole. "Well, did you find anything down there?" Dr. Whitfield asked.
Sorry, we're closed. Unless you're here for something else.
I'm a friend of Dorota's.
Dorota. I'm sorry about what happened.
Dorota told me things about you.
Things? That's ominously vague. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Lexi.
Lexi? I like it. It's got an edge. You know, you're quite striking. It's a shame Dorota's not here. We could have taken some great shots of you two together. Would you like me to photograph you, Lexi?
No.
Why don't we switch places? Yeah, let's go with that. Here. Take this.
Don't get drugged. You'll revert to your natural form. Nobody wants to see that.
These photos are going to be fantastic. You'll love them. Yeah. How about you take this off? Hmm? There we go. Fantastic. Now, arch your back. Yeah. That's it. Wait. What's happening?
Don't get drugged. You'll revert to your natural form. Nobody wants to see that.
What's happening to you? Wait, what? Oh!
Nibbling on a pair of purple curtains in my bedroom. The sun goes down, and I feel my skin shedding in the darkness. I huddle down and wait for the sunrise, hoping to become a butterfly. But when the sun comes up, I'm still a caterpillar. Now, Poe, what do you think that dream could mean?
Very interesting.
Hello, I'm Rain. I'm Rain.
She's someone who wants to change, but somehow goes.
Who is Sophia?
You saw her, did you? She's my goddaughter, at that age where she overshares.
Is she a ghost?
What makes you say that, Rain? Is there something about her aura?
Well, I was close, but your explanation is so much nicer.
Thank you for your dreams.
Well,
Hi, Rain. Did you miss me while I was gone?
So, Alice Munro.
I'm honestly not going to try and worry about this one. We've told Sam, and I think that's all we can do.
Really? Well, what's Sam going to do?
I believe Sam is going to save Ellis. According to the Ouija, this could play out in a lot of different ways, but mostly saving Ellis.
What other ways? What other ways?
Ellis could run, Ellis could die, Ellis could be saved, mistaken identity, someone else dies. There's a lot of noise coming from the beyond, but it's not just a load of voices saying Ellis will die. Sam's got this.
Oh.
These ones have an inverted full crown, which gives a ghastly sound. We're not going to reproduce that here now. It's like a bell ringing in reverse.
Haven't you done enough predicting my death?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just kidding. I know it's not your fault. Well, unless you're the killer.
Have you made a decision about the show?
I think it's a no. Sorry. It's just the reading that you gave me the other day. I don't want to scare off the audience.
Why would I scare off your listeners? What reading?
The reading you gave me, to show me what you could do. It was scarily accurate.
What was accurate about it?
Everything. My broken heart, the enveloping darkness, my beautiful death. You said it was just a metaphor, that it was just about transformation. But it's not. I'm going to die, aren't I? Black hair streaming beneath the surface. She must be dead. No one can breathe that long underwater. Then she opens her eyes, and I realize
Hi, I'm Chief DuPont.
Closing of the eyes. I mean, that's interesting. So she wants to.
Chief, I wanted to ask you something.
Is it about the boudoir photos? What did you want to ask?
Am I still a suspect?
Yes. No.
Okay. Good. Listen, I think I might get out of this place soon. I need some space.
Is it about the boudoir photos?
Yeah. So it's true then?
I haven't seen them. I'm sorry. It's all tasteful stuff. Maybe a gift for you.
I didn't get them. Now I feel like I'm the only person who hasn't seen them.
The black hair in this dream actually also relates to the repression of Chief DuPont. Thanks for calling in.
I'm just checking you're safe.
At the moment, my heart's beating 1,000 times a minute and I can't sit still. Every noise or knock on the door makes me jump out of my skin, and I keep looking behind me. Is that safe?
Have I ever let you down? What's really worrying you?
That you're just saying you're doing things when you're not actually doing anything. What's the plan, Chief DuPont? How do we stop this from happening? How do we stop me from dying? Thank you for your dreams. Dreams
And nightmares.
with Poe and Monroe. So, we have Gabby's dream.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn. I'm Bronwyn.
Back to the card, it seems more full than before. Wow. I do like dreams like this, Poe. Please don't.
Thank you for helping with the chief. Do you believe Tara can predict things now?
I'm not a monster, Bronwyn. I believe in justice too.
Do you believe Tara can predict things now?
I'm not one for mystics and crystal balls. I'm a Virgo.
It says you're lying about your alibi.
Oh, I suppose it has a 50-50 chance of getting it right.
Someone puts a lot of effort into something, but they don't get redeemed for it. They have to.
What a day. Alice Munro, then. Looks like our traveller likes redheads.
I wouldn't be so sure. Looks that way.
Should we be worried about Violet?
Maybe. She thinks she was abducted by aliens.
Then that possibly means she's already been a traveller target. What else did she say?
Something about being in a row of heads?
So they're killing us for sport. Sounds about right.
Identity. So Poe was very close with what he was saying, because the impression that I get from this dream and from your explanation of this dream.
Bron, what are we going to do about Ellis?
What would you do about Alice?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Let's think. What have we tried before?
The few times we've caught up with the Traveller, nothing's worked.
Killing them? Restraining them? Talking to them?
Please don't kill that person. Okay, thanks. Oh no, look, you killed them anyway. You know that doesn't work, Ron.
What do you think, Poe?
That's some wonderful advice, Alice, and I think it's a lot of food for thought for this.
Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Get out now before I call the police!
Dimitri's Descent by Chris Hoppenbrowers, read by The Raw Geek. Dimitri stared out into the pitch-black darkness outside of his bedroom window. It felt unnatural to be here, in this place, so far away from home. With some regret, he the location would be somewhere on Earth. Instead, he now found himself Sheffield, an expert in the field of archaeology, hadn't had a breath of fresh air in 8 months.
No. I can do a reading if you want. Hmm. Chariot. Is Zach a suspect? I'm sensing there's a lot of tension, pent-up frustration, like he's trying to keep everything together, and if he can just do that... I'm sorry, that's not much help to you, is it? A little bit. What did you want to know? A rite can take many forms, but from what we know about these travelers, it seems to be performing some kind of coming-of-age ceremony. Yes, a rite of passage. Running havoc in our dimension is rewarded in theirs. Not fair, is it? 3 is a powerful number. There's a divine balance to it in our universe anyway. But maybe it doesn't mean anything where the traveler's from. Maybe 3 is just the carry-on limit for interdimensional travel. I've heard on the radio, but other than that, I don't know anything about her. I want to help though. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Although we can be sure of one thing. Yeah, she sounded blonde on the radio, but Mercury called her as a redhead. Yes, of course, anything. I've already been doing that, but sure, I'll keep at it. Maybe it'll feel sorry for me and finally put out. Was it a gold coin? I should have known. That's the same as Birmingham. Although they beheaded the victims, they all had gold coins in their mouths. It's their way of marking their territory to prove it's their work.
Probes down the hole? Dimitri asked as they went over their plans. The 3 other scientists looked at him questioningly as they...
I know the name. She's off the radio. Hard to get away from it in this town. Yeah, she asked for a sample reading to show what I could do. Not really. As I recall, it was all fluffy bunnies and rainbows, success and riches on all fronts, etc., etc. In Birmingham, it was a man called Yuri Harris. He worked as a butcher. He beheaded all 3 girls within hours of each other. And we couldn't stop it. He pleaded not guilty for reason of temporary insanity. Because he said he'd see us again. In August. Before we even knew it was a month and a place.
The crew member who had helped him put on his rappelling harness performed a final check on the crane, which was normally used for lowering the much lighter probes down the abyssal shaft. Dr. Remington had initially...
Sam, thanks for breaking me out. You're my hero. I want to do something for you in return. Tell me what I can do to help. Yes, please use me. Tell me what to do. Who's that? Is he a suspect? I guess he must be. Okay, I'm on the case. Just give me a minute to get ready and I'll be off.
A bit, otherwise we'll be here all day. Dr. Yutani...
It's 9 o'clock and you're listening to Radio August. Investigations into the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw are continuing this evening. Miss Shaw was found dead in her home at approximately 10 p.m. last night in what police are describing as a puzzling case. Residents are urged to be cautious until the perpetrator is caught. I cannot stress this enough, August. Stay safe out there. You mean the world to me. In other news, Monroe has been detained on urgent business, so you're stuck with me until she returns. Never fear, Monroe fans. We still have lots of pre-recordings, so you can relax with her angelic tones. That's 9 o'clock with Poe and Monroe.
You're listening to Radio August. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe.
Lung. Read by...
You're the detective. Monroe just called. This is madness. Who would want to hurt her? We've worked together for years. She's the light to my shade, the angel to my demon, the diamond to my lump of coal. She told me to say all those things. Heavens no. I have a wife and 3 children, beloved spawn of my loins. Monroe and I are good friends, that's all. Only a madman, or woman. Monroe is August's sweetheart. Poe and Monroe, that was her idea. Our show. We were just another local radio station before that. It was Monroe who decided we should have a theme. Dark Nights with Poe and Monroe. Don't tell me you haven't heard it, detective. That's what the Free Radio Project is all about. Uniting August via the airwaves. Monroe's been delivering free radios anywhere people might want to listen. Doctors' surgeries, hairdressers, the guest house. I believe she charmed the local electrical store into donating them, in exchange for free advertising, of course. We interviewed her about her scholarship not too long ago. Do you think whoever killed Dorota plans to kill Monroe? What makes you think she's in danger? Tarot? Does this have anything to do with the gentleman who stopped by? I didn't get his name, I'm afraid. He offered to do a spot on our show, doing tarot readings to answer listener questions. We said we'd think about it. You know, this town is fascinating. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Have you ever read up on the real history of August? Then I won't bore you with it. Although you're missing out on a superbly bloodthirsty tale. On that note, I should probably get back to the booth. The show must go on. Death threats be damned. Look after Monroe, detective. She's the only Monroe I've got.
Head hits the angled stone with such force his eyes bulge. Blood pools behind him and in his mouth. You're mine now, the girl says, and reaches her hand into his chest, grabbing for some...
Oh, it's you. I was hoping it might be Zach. No. And I've got some very important news for him if he ever shows up. Yes. If he ever shows up.
It darts into the jacket and pulls out a cigarette. She sighs as she
Don't confirm the existence of travelers. They're not ready.
I'm Zach Weston, just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
With Poe and Monroe.
Open at midnight by...
Zach, the game is up. I think you should leave town.
What?
I know where you were last night. I followed you to Dorota's house. Well, I didn't know it was Dorota's house until we arrived. Call it women's intuition.
You were at Dorota's?
Don't change the subject. Sam and Dupont will put 2 and 2 together.
And then what?
And then they're going to arrest you. You weren't there long, I suppose, but then I guess it doesn't take you long, does it?
You were spying on me.
I followed you there, then back to the studio. You lied to the police. You lied to me. I'm done with you. We've finished. Don't come back here again.
Elucidated the deaths of those around me. So I did it. Long after midnight, I went down to the churchyard where the winos hung out. There was a good chance one of them would be sleeping it off in some quiet, sacred corner. I found one. Opened the gates of...
Hi, I'm Ellis. I'm Ellis.
I spent 7 weeks in a mental institution trying to rebuild my life, to find a way to live with the intolerable. At first they tried to get me to talk about it.
Hey, I'm going. There's too many people asking questions, it's exhausting. I'm off to stay at my aunt's. I'll come back tomorrow, but I've said everything I can say.
Then they sent me back into the world with a letter for my physician and a...
Alice, do you have the amethyst?
What amethyst?
Poe's amethyst pendant? The one we have the buyer for?
Poe's pendant?
Okay, we're playing silly buggers now. Don't worry about it. My buyer would have found something by the time you pitch up with it anyway.
Madness open at midnight. There's no point in trying to fight it, so I...
Al, I'm so sorry. You mean everything to me. I won't let you die.
Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. It's you who's shrouded in darkness, my love. El, we must finish what we started.
Let's finish it.
El, I fell in love with you the first day we met. You ripped out my heart, diced it into pieces, and reshaped it in your form. I will always be yours, forever. Elle. Will you marry me?
No. Yes!
Elle, I love you. You don't know how happy you've made me. My angel. My absolute angel. Yes, you've met my wife and family. They're sadly not actors I've hired to make my life look richer than it is. Tomorrow, I will tell her about us. And I will leave her. Another heart broken, another family destroyed, another villainous father.
Is your wife gonna kill me? How long have we been together?
Since the day you arrived, my angel, how could any red-blooded man resist you?
This could take. I once watched it overwhelm 3 skinheads who thought I was their victim, and they were young, strong, and used to getting stuck in.
I'm Zach Weston. Just sharpening my powers of persuasion.
It still tore my head apart when the beast came through.
Good evening, Zachary. That's for being a creep with Alice. Now get out of my radio station.
Is out of the question. I simply cannot afford to have anyone around when the beast wakes. Casual relationships have foundered on this rock. You won't let anyone get close to you.
I'm Poe, and this is your August update. August update.
Usually get about a week's warning, so clearly holidays are out. I dare not be anywhere where I don't know the ground well.
I'm sorry, can I help you?
I've just moved in next door.
It's not a very good time at the moment, I'm afraid.
Really? Anything I can help with?
No, not really.
Are out there? How many beasts? Or am I just one amongst many vehicles for a single slayer? There surely must be others.
John. I'm gonna be fine.
How long have we been together now?
On the radio? I started at Radio August about 2 years ago. Why?
No, I mean romantically. Do you want me to leave my wife?
I only want you to do what makes you happy. I'll be waiting for you either way.
Why didn't you tell me about Dorota?
What didn't I tell you about Dorota?
I'm giving you a chance to tell me now.
Can't we talk about this another time? It's just that it's late, and I'm about to get murdered. I thought you'd come to put your arms around me and tell me everything was going to be all right.
We need to talk about this now.
Stay at the radio, Poe. Sam's taking care of me now. I'm gonna be saved. Didn't you know? I love you.
I'm staying. I love you.
His jacket, 8 inches, big enough to skewer an elephant. and I'm relieved. I needed to see the threat. I relax and open the gates. All three combined takes control of my body and pours through it.
No. Oh, him, yes. I've heard him on the radio. Never met in real life, though. Are you mocking me, Sam? No, I have never met the man. He didn't. He was the one in her bedroom last night. I never made it that far. I just followed him to her house. I wrongly assumed we were in a relationship. I thought that he was cheating on me. Which he was. I saw him leave Dorota's and I followed him straight after. I don't know if anyone else was there. Nobody went in or out whilst Zach was there. I tailed him as soon as he left. He drives like a maniac, so I'd lose him otherwise. Yes, now I remember. It's the one in the hall. Sometimes cuts through the unbearable silence in this place. Not really. I expected her to be blonde for some reason.
So full of people, none of them knowing an almost post-orgasmic level.
Sorry, Sam, what can I do for you? Yeah, I always cry around this time of night. What's the point, Sam, huh? If we can't save them. Mercury is a curse. It's like some tourist guide for murders. I try for Lexi and Rain to make them think that we can make a difference, make a change, but we haven't so far. What if we can't make a change? Maybe if we could just save one person, Sam. Alice. We need to save her. We need to. Not really. But it wants to know why you're hesitating. Mercury thinks you are. I can see its point. Alice is in danger and you're still here asking questions. Protecting her? I'm not saying lock her in a vault and surround her by guards, but anything would be justifiable at this point. I'd at least have eyes on her, and don't trust the police to do it. They have a poor track record.
Circulation to his extremities, and after that, well, he needed a new coat anyway.
Honestly, you don't. Once they're caught, a few hours later, they've hopped timelines into someone else. We just keep chasing them. Continuously trying to stop them ruining lives. Yes, but it kills the vessel too. So, you could have a traveller inside you right now, and if I killed you, you'd both be dead. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to remember their names, but I can't. And then I realize that my family are all standing around me.
Quite a lot, actually. For one, he has a massive collection of books about serial killers. But also, Sam, are you a shapeshifter? I knew it! Actually, I didn't suspect a thing. So how does it work? Can you be anyone you want? Can you be Ariana Grande? So, what about you? Are you human, or are you something else? Who is Sam? Yeah, but you're like Human Plus, Human 2.0. You're actually a superhero. Bronwyn and Rain are going to be so stoked. Ah, no fair. Fine, my lips are sealed. This is going to be so hard though. He's off the radio. I don't really know him. Actually, I'm glad you're here. I really, really want to do a reading for you right now. You know, to help. Great. Let me just draw 3 cards for you. This is just a general reading. You don't need a question. Okay. Oh, the 2 of Cups. That's mysterious. Is there anyone you feel a spark of attraction to? Maybe someone you've met recently? The Lovers. I did not expect that. It seems this attraction has the potential to be life-changing, if you want it to be. And finally, the Knight of Cups. This card is about pursuing your heart's desire. I think it's time to tell that someone special how you really feel. Wow, what an interesting reading. Does it mean anything to you? You catch on quickly, don't you, Sam?
So what might this be?
Well, it definitely looks like an alien, and from what I can see,
I didn't expect news to travel this fast. You can't tell anyone else. I've not told my wife yet. I think she should at least hear it from me. You ask the wrong question, Detective. Why now? Because of death. When a loved one, or you yourself, faces death, it makes you hold account of all your life decisions. Not marrying Alice would be my biggest regret. Yes, I love my wife and our children, and if she loves me, she'll let me go. Alice lights a fire in me my wife never found the fireplace for, let alone lit. You can't condone my actions, I understand. Divorce is strangely delicious. A great polarizing topic for society. So many people think it's clearly wrong. So many people think it's clearly acceptable. As the tide turns, the stigma fades. Enjoy your life, Detective. I hope you pick once and pick right. Yes, I'm surprised she told you about that. How did that come up? Why would Zach Weston know that? Maybe she was selling it to him. Alice is a bit of a spendthrift, unfortunately. Likes to live life on the edge of her credit card limit. It's actually not the first time I've bailed her out. She said it was to pay off her credit cards. Why would she lie to me about that? Alice is a saint, Sam. I trust her with my life. So I definitely trust her with my money.
To raise funds. The library...
I couldn't do this without him. He looks out for me. He's my best friend. What do you know, Sam? He does? That's so sweet of him. But I could never do that. Then you've been very, very naughty. I delivered radios all over town. I don't think I should have bothered with some of them, though. I don't think... Violet, is it? I don't think Violet liked me very much. Maybe. I don't know why anyone would be threatened by me, though. I'm not interested in stealing anyone's man. I didn't steal Poe. He gave himself to me. It's not what it sounds like. Dorota lost her scholarship. She said it was an administrative error. She showed me the letter and everything. No, I didn't. I told you he'd asked to take pictures of me. You never asked if we were selling a pendant together. The money was for her, Sam, so she could have her dream of being a cellist. I wanted her to have her dream. It doesn't matter now. No, not exactly. I told him I was in trouble with credit cards, and he offered to bail me out. I asked if I could have one of his artifacts, and of course he gave it to me. It's off. I said I'd pose for some photos, but that's it. I used to be a burlesque dancer, so I don't mind showing my body, but Zach's not getting a private show. Not now.
To flee the feeling in your...
Why would she say that? That would put us both at the crime scene. Dorota was fine when I left her. She asked me to come over and watch her get her freak on, which I did, being the gentleman that I am. I misread the signal somewhat, as I thought I was supposed to join in, which was not the case. I think she threw a teddy bear at me or something. Ugh. After that I left. I had no idea Violet was spying on me. Don't get excited, detective. I did a criminology course. They make you buy the books. Probably right here. Why? I didn't realize I was under house arrest. Thanks for the advice. I hope I'm not the only suspect.
I took a deep breath and lowered myself to the ground.
Sam, I've got some heavy rain news. Lawrence Petrovsky, that's his real name, and no, he's not a Russian spy, but he does have a criminal record. He was charged with the murder of a 21-year-old artist. Looks like he got off on a technicality by all accounts. About 3 months ago in Hong Kong. Be careful, Sam. If you're going to ask him about this, it could be a flight risk. And you know, there's a good chance he could be the killer. Door's behind you. Rain's still a suspect. No corroborated alibi. Bronwyn Castle has one, Lexi Taylor doesn't. I got my search back on Rain, or Petrovsky, as we should call him. He's got priors that you're looking into. Rain met Ellis when he was touting for work. He gets around quickly. Zach seems to be a fan of serial killers. At least, you've told me he has an extensive book collection on them. Ellis knows Violet because of the free radio project. Ellis thinks Violet doesn't like her very much. I'm not sure I like you very much. Where's the proof? Violet's just admitted being at the crime scene last night with Zach. It's not looking good for Zach now. Oscar's in the clear. He was playing football last night. He said that Dorota had a wedding dress in her closet. Not many people would know that. I think you've narrowed it down to Zach, Rain, and Lexi. That's just my professional opinion, mind you. Feel free to ignore the person who hired you. That's it.
It's now 10 o'clock. Here's your August update. Investigations deepen into last night's murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw. Miss Shaw, a talented cellist who had recently been granted a place at Juilliard, was found strangled at her home last night. With the murderer still at large, Chief DuPont has urged residents to remain calm and stresses there is almost no chance of anyone else being harmed. Alice, if you're listening, let me know you're okay. In other news, a handful of August residents have reported seeing strange lights in the sky earlier this evening. The lights, which witnesses describe as searingly bright, were spotted over the east edge of town, past the fire station. Have you seen any strange lights? Or for that matter, little green men? Let me know. That's 10 o'clock with Poe.
August's gone crazy tonight. I've just got off the phone with someone who thinks they saw a UFO on one of the nights that Violet went missing. Aliens would be normal right now. Anyway, now you're here, it's time. What do you suggest we do with Alice Monroe? Monroe's a local treasure around here, Sam. Don't let anything happen to her.
Sam, I'm not sure. Do you think you can stop someone from trying to kill me? I know you're just trying to make me feel better, but that's a weird thing to say. Maybe I'd be better off with one of Chief DuPont's officers. I guess at least you've still got a sense of humor, even when we're surrounded by death. Perhaps it's a good trait to have.
You're too late. She's gone. Yeah, I think so. No bags packed though, and car's still on the drive, so she must have left in a hurry. I'll put out a miss for her, check in with her parents. We'll find her. If she can be found.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm Poe, and this is your August update. Police investigating the murder of 21-year-old Dorota Shaw say they are getting closer to apprehending the killer. The death of Miss Shaw, who was found strangled at her home late last night, has sparked a massive police operation and caused alarm amongst August residents. Monroe has some personal business to attend to, but she sends you all her love and hopes to be back on the air tomorrow. And Monroe, if you can hear me, I'm sending my love out to you too. That's 11 o'clock with Poe.
Sam, I have some bad news. We've done a group reading, and it's you. I don't know, Sam, I don't know what to say. It's normally a death sentence, but with you it might be different. I think you've interfered too much. That's why you're the next target. I've called Chief DuPont already. He's asked that you meet with him. You should go, Sam. Be careful.
Sam, it's almost midnight. You're still alive. This is a good thing, but no one's even attempted to kill you yet. You've given me a lot of evidence, enough to arrest someone. But who? Make the right decision, You should be safe. If we don't, well, we've all got to sleep at some point. I can get someone to guard your room at the guest house, but it might not be enough. So, Sam, who should I arrest? Zach, I don't trust him either. He's definitely creepy. I'll go and pick him up myself. With all the information you've given me, I think it'll be enough. Maybe he'll confess too. That would help. Good luck, Sam. If you've picked the wrong person, you're still in danger.
Sam, you asked for these earlier. Make sure you get some sleep now. You'll need it. Night.
I'm sorry, that was in bad taste. Bronwyn asked me to check that you're okay, and you seem to be. Well done catching a killer, by the way. Well, hopefully you did. Scream if you need me.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and this is Poe with your August update. We don't normally have them at this time, but since there's a killer on the loose, I feel it's my duty to keep the radio station manned. I personally spoke with Chief DuPont earlier, and he thinks they're close to catching the killer. Until that happens, though, please lock your doors and stay inside. Remain vigilant. The light has faded, and so has my fortitude. I see things in shadows, behind doors and under desks. I hear the chattering of teeth and the glee of insects waiting to feed on me. The studio undulates like a heart that beats its last beats. I can't go on. I must to bed. Forgive me, Lady August. Forgive me.
Sam, you're still with us. I had to give you a pretty high dose of Redheads to drag you in here. I could have killed you in your room, of course, but that would have looked pretty suspicious. Yes, I'm Rain, but I can't remember. I don't remember. I'm being possessed, but I can't get caught. They don't care, Sam. They don't care what happens to the vessel. Some sick traveller is using me as a killing machine, and then they'll just dump me. But you're gonna get me stuck in prison. I can't have that. I can't let you do that. Sam, Rain? You changed into me. Interesting. Either you're a shapeshifter and you've been playing us all along, or you're the traveller, using Sam as a vessel right now, using some freaky trans-dimensional powers. And I think it's the latter. Goodbye, Sam.
Thank you for observing that minute's silence. August has lost many good people in the last few days. Dorota Shaw, Violet Gallagher, and our very own Alice Munro. In a police statement released this morning, Chief DuPont has asked people to seek safety in company and remain vigilant. The most recent body found with multiple stab wounds is still being examined by August's coroner. They're unable to confirm the identity or even species of the victim at this time. The killer remains at large.
I am Dorota. I am 21 years old. I love playing cello, and I just been awarded a scholarship to Juilliard. I just love cello. I love all string instruments, but cello is rich and deep and soothing, at least to me. No, cello is my hobby, but my real passion is... It's silly, it sounds silly. Well, I would like to build a time machine. I know. But it is possible. I think people make mistakes. They do things they regret and they say things they don't mean. I want to go back in time. I want to make better choices.